Now, coming up on breakfast in a few minutes. The age of the train, well, it's 30, but is it the end of the line for the 125?
Now it's the end of the line for the iconic 125. The famous workhorse of the railways has been powering intercity services since the late 70s. But
today, the Transport Secretary, Alistair Darling, will signal a new era of high-speed rail travel with a competition to find a successor to the beloved 125. Well, Breakfast's Paul Welsh looks back at 3 decades of service.
It was striking in looks and startlingly modern when it carried its first passengers 3 decades ago. You have to remember that the 125 started work just 8 years after the last steam train was retired. The BBC's Current Affairs show Nationwide was suitably impressed.
All carriages fully air-conditioned throughout and linked with automatic doors. Double glazing on the windows to make sure your journey is as quiet and undisturbed as possible. And you can even get a pint of ice-cold beer or lager. Thank you very much indeed.
TV adverts sold the train as business travel, the height of luxury. London to Bristol cost £5.
All of which proves that for anyone going places in today's business world, this is the age of the train.
The new image of rail travel, the streamlined, sporty look, made the 125 the fastest diesel in the world. But it was an accident. 30 years on, the designer Kenneth Grange remembers how he was asked to design the livery and took it on himself to redesign the nose too.
We decided to see whether we would, just for our own amusement almost, look at a different shape. And I had a very talented engineer working for me at the time who'd worked in the aircraft industry, and he said, well, why don't we, as a start off, consider the aerodynamics? At least it'll give us the direction for a change in shape. It's become an iconic object in our landscape.
Getting on for 100 were built, nearly 70 are still running, and there's a decade left in the old girls yet before the replacements take over completely.
They'll be sleek and with long noses, because that's required for aerodynamic reasons. Very smooth on the outside, again for aerodynamic reasons. We may even at some stage see the wheels disappear and move on to magnetic levitation, as it's called.
But for a while longer, the earthbound 125 remains the workhorse. Reports of its death are premature. The plans are laid, though, for its ride into the sunset. Paul Welsh, BBC News.
You've got 10 years left to go on it.
Yeah, 10 years, just a little while.
Yeah. And
lots of memories and joy about the Intercity 125 coming into us. I went on childhood trips on them and still think they look and sound fantastic. I'll be sorry to see them go, says Emma from Feltham in Middlesex.
Gary in Northampton, forget the Rocket, the Flying Scotsman and the Mallard. The Intercity 125 is Britain's best ever train. No surprise it comes from the era of nationalisation.
Might be a bit of debate about that, yes. Given the list there.
Hurrah for British Rail.
And Stuart says the 125 ride is quiet. Let's hope they aren't replaced by those awful Voyager trains with a noisy engine under every coach. I think we're getting a bit train spotterish here, I'm not sure.
I like it. I have to say, yeah. I have. I was on a train at the weekend and very, very lovely it was too.
It's whether you're at the end of a train platform.
Taking the number down. The time is 7:53.